Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to one of our In Conversation videos with our Mission Hubs partners. Today, I am super excited to be joined by Meera Sharath Chandra, who is just joined us from Tigress. Meera, I think you're in Mumbai today, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Great, great. Well, it's firstly, thank you for becoming a Mission Hubs partner, and we'll delve into a little bit more about your business in a moment or two. As I say, we're super excited. I mean, I've known of you for many years, and I've known you for a few as well. But for our audience, I love what you do, and I love the approach that you take. But I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this crazy world that we call the creative industry. Um, where did you start? I always find these fascinating stories.
Well, I always knew, Paul, that I could write. So I was always spoofing songs for my school anthem. I was writing jokes for magazines. So I knew I could write. And I even did a diploma in journalism to check out if I'm going to be, a journalist one day. But then this mad, crazy world of advertising had just started buzzing around me, and I just couldn't resist it. So I walked into an agency and took a copy test. And from then on, I've never looked back because every day is different, every brief is different. It's not a 9 to 5 job, it's a crazy job, and I really loved it. And I've been going at it now for 4 decades, never turned back.
Wow. Okay, you deserve the carriage clock, as they say, for sticking with it. I mean, look, looking at your CV, there's some great names on there. I mean, could you just give us a quick run through of the places, some of the agencies that you've worked at?
Yeah, so I've for a very longest time I've worked with JWT across 3 stints actually.
Okay.
One in JWT proper, and one in a subsidiary called Contract, and the third one called RMG Connect, which is more a digital and direct agency. And it's a very lovely circle of people in JWT. You see the same faces and different avatars everywhere. So I just fit in every time I got back in. I was just fitting in, and I was finding it really enjoyable. The other agency where I've done a long stint is DDB, where I was heading tribal DDB, Rap Collins, the events arm, the outdoor arm, as well as brand therapist, which was the health and wellness arm. And I think that's where my whole focus on purpose started changing, and I started getting very passionate about that.
Ah, yes. Okay. Well, we'll come to that in just a moment. I mean, was this kind of the sort of driver though that when in your head when you know what I really want to do my own thing. So I'm always curious again. What drives people to leave the safety of a big job effectively and go, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah, this was actually it's different because in after a point in my career, I was not just heading the creative part of the business, I was heading the entire business, which meant the bottom line as well.
Mm.
So I, at that point, I had moved to London, and I was the MD of an agency, a WPP agency there. And when we had to relocate back to India, I just thought, I mean, I'm running a business for somebody else. I'm running the creative unit for somebody else. How about doing it for myself? And it just organically fell into place. The minute I came back, I started Tigress, and it took on from there.
Okay. Okay. That'll kind of make sense. Now, the next really obvious question is Tigress. It's a name that sticks with you. Where does it come from and why?
Okay, so this is actually based on a little bit of introspection when people have always told me what my management style is like. On one, one side, they say you're fiercely protective of your ideas and you don't want the purity of the idea to get diluted. And you're similarly fiercely protective of your team. And on the other side, when you're heading the business, you're pretty aggressive when you're hunting for business. So there were two traits which are very tiger-like traits. And for the longest time, when we've taken holidays in India, we've always gone to tiger sanctuaries. So that close connection was always there. And as more business started coming in from outside of the country, I realized this name was really working well for me because when you say tigress, you know you're going to meet a woman from a subcontinent and not anybody else. So you manage expectations in the first meeting itself. So it was working on several fronts for me.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, as you say, I mean, it's memorable and it's better than perhaps a string of letters, et cetera, et cetera. So it does it does the job. It's really good. Um, the business model you have is also quite different, as I understand it. I mean, could you just walk us through how your agency works, please?
Sure. For the first 6 months when I started Tigress, I didn't take on any business. I was busy tying up partners who I knew I could work brilliantly with, either people I've trained, people I've worked with, or people I admired. And the rigor, I think, has helped me form this business model where I have just-in-time teams put together for each and every brief. I do not take the same team for every brief because that wouldn't be right or fair to the client. So I stitch together just-in-time teams of people I'm really confident I can work well with. And I tell the client, this is the team for this brief. Don't expect the same team to come back for your next brief because it may not be right. And when I do this, actually, subconsciously, what's happening is I am making sure that when I go to a client, I'm giving the best of what I can give for that particular brief. And nor am I compromising on the quality because I know I've got the best talent at play. So this kind of a model is very lean. It's very energetic. People come to the Zoom calls with their work done. They come with their nails sharpened and ready to go. And this is the kind of edgy creative that I want to present to clients. And ultimately, the buck stops with me. The accountability stops with me because as the creative head, I will make sure that no matter what team I put together, I am accountable for the end product.
So you are in effect really, I mean, excuse me, dumbing it down a little bit, but you're an agent effectively, and you're building these purpose-built teams to deliver bespoke, best-in-class solutions for clients, which I think is really cool. It's of the moment. I mean, you know, why own everything when you can basically pick and choose from the best to do whatever you need? And as you rightly say, person A is not necessarily the best person to do job B, as it were. They might have different
Yes.
skill sets.
And when I started, actually, everyone thought I was a bit crazy and I was the new abnormal at that time. But after COVID, if you really look at it,
Yeah.
everybody is adopting this model. So, and it is working. It's working brilliantly.
I was going to ask you about COVID because I guess that when you started before with this model before COVID, so you were a little ahead of the curve in that
Hmm.
respect. So, yeah, it's not a post-COVID thing. This was something that was created,
Yeah,
you know,
in
way in advance.
2013. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things also that I think we have a lot in common is your desire to find new revenue streams for brands and look at creative in perhaps a more commercial way than perhaps some other agencies might. Could you talk us a little bit through that philosophy as
Yeah.
well, please?
So, really what happens in the marketplace is already crowded. Now, if a person has to enter new, they have to find a positioning niche, they have to find a category niche to come in. And why, if you are an established player, then you need to be relevant even in this changing marketing scenario. So how do you do this? I was just thinking about it and I said, there's always scope to discover a revenue stream, something new which you've not tried before. If you're an established brand with a portfolio, is there a category opportunity either in target segment or in geography or in product or in service that you hadn't thought of before? And I thought my differentiation could be that I come to you with a solution to a problem you didn't think you had or an opportunity you didn't think you had. And I will validate that solution for you. I will carry that solution for you through the advertising and the marketing. And I will continue to hold that as a brand custodian for you. So when I went a step ahead of what agencies were doing, I found that a lot more doors were opening for me because I'm not pitching for what's already there. I'm creating something new and then owning it along with the client. So that
Yeah.
seemed to work really well with me.
And yeah, it's nice, and you're adding value from top to bottom there, really. And as you say, from looking at it purely from a commercial point of view, from you, I mean, you're building. I mean, it's not easy, I guess, but you are building the revenue stream as well for yourself in that respect, and
Yes, it's
securing your
becoming
position.
organic to get a revenue stream for myself while it's a win-win, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, this I suspect this appeals. There's a particular type of client brand that you work with, I guess, or sectors. What would they be?
I wouldn't say that because if anything comes up which has a challenge, I will take it.
Oh,
I
okay.
really need to get a good bite of a challenging assignment. So I've been in automotive, I've been in FMCG, I've done coffees and teas, I've done household furnishings, real estate, the works, but it must always have an opportunity to find something new and disrupt in a way that only creative can do.
Okay, all right. Let's not pigeonhole you. The one thing I do know, and I haven't, and this is very clear when we've spoken, and also the sort of the stuff that you have on the website, is the sort of social responsibility ethos, if you like, that you guys have, and the desire to work with brands which have purpose, mindful businesses, etc. Could you talk a little bit about what got you into that space, please?
Yeah, so I think a little bit of it came from the time when I was working in healthcare and wellness. But uh, increasingly, I was finding that I needed to give back a little bit too to the industry. So that's when I even wrote my book, and that's when I
Nice plug.
started yeah, and that's when I started looking very seriously into purpose. And at that time, I don't think purpose was a thing that everybody was chasing. And I was just thinking that, what if it was, I don't want purpose to be just philanthropy. It has to be a win-win. Otherwise, brands don't get into it deep. You need brands to understand that without that purpose underpinning, they are actually losing business. Today's customer is looking for that authenticity from the brand. So if you're not got a solid underlay of purpose, then you are genuinely losing your business. So I want it to be a win-win. I want both to happen simultaneously. And when I arrived at that, actually, I said, this is what the world is anyway gravitating towards. So how about I jump on a little ahead and see what best I can do in that space? Created this a little mnemonic for ourselves called the rainbow hashtag.
Yeah.
If you really look at a hashtag, it's made of 4 pluses. And I gave it a little bit of a color. So the red plus became my area of health. The red cross became the area of health and wellness. The blue became the blue cross, which is animal welfare. And the green became ecology, and the yellow became sport. And suddenly I found that I was hitting a very sweet spot there with that hashtag, because those are all the 4 areas that were very close to my heart.
No, it's smart, and I sort of read about it on the website, and I'd encourage people to have a quick look at it actually, because it does make a lot of sense. Um, I guess my other question, I guess, in this space, and I know we talked about this when we met, but the idea that brands need to own purpose for their existence, and a true purpose brand is one that starts 20, 30 years ago and still has the purpose today, because the purpose should be within the DNA of the brand, right? Do you think that there's still a lot of, for want of a better expression, a lot of purpose washing out there? And do you see it perhaps more in certain countries than others?
I was thinking about this actually. Uh, there is purpose washing, but I don't think it is by design. So it is. This is what I know I can do when it comes to purpose. So I think there's a little bit of a curve that brands and companies need to go through. For instance, you can stand for something, but are you fighting for it? That's the difference.
Yeah.
If I stand for it, I'm still passive. If I'm fighting for it, I'm getting into action. And I think that's the little leap that people need to take. In the tribal DDB creative brief, there is a question. What is the mission your brand fights for? Not stands for, but fights for. And if you answer that, then you genuinely get to the purpose of that brand or that company. So I think that one extra step ahead is not being taken. Maybe they've identified what their purpose is, but they've not moved. The momentum is not there towards that purpose.
It's a small word, but it's an interesting word that you highlight there. And yeah, it does change the focus somewhat, and actually the mindset and approach. I guess that's in mind, and really in your view, I mean, what brands do you think do you see that do this well at the moment out there? Just so we've sort of got an idea.
Yeah, so I think for standing by its purpose for at least 20 years now, it's Dove for real beauty that really comes to mind. I think in parts Nike is doing it really well. They got us to get off our butts and run, for starters.
Well, me
And
as
then
well.
and then they've always taken a stance when it comes to social issues. They take a stance when it comes to gender. So I think there are parts of Nike which I really like and I resonate with. My real love for purpose branding started way back when I saw these very iconic pictures of United Colors of Benetton. You
Mm.
know, it was so ahead of its time, but now when I look at it, it makes such sense.
Moving on slightly, Mira, and you mentioned this already, got the plug in, so we're going to come to the book now, if that's okay, the Mira, and it was inspired by a good friend of as really Patrick Collister, and well, inspired you, I should say. Could you tell us a little bit about the book? And we'll put a thing at the end so people can know where to get it.
Yeah, so the book, well, the easy part is it's free. It's downloadable from the website. And the reason it's free is because I wrote it with the intention to give back to the industry. So it's easy to download from my website. And it was written during COVID, actually. So that was when Patrick and I were chatting. I was on the Caples jury at that time, and we were having a chat. And he said, oh, we have so much time on our hands, maybe we should write a book or something. And it really got me thinking, what am I doing sitting at home and waiting for this lockdown to move? So I started writing, and it literally wrote itself, actually. It's all about how the roles are changing. Today, consumers are brands. Every consumer is an influencer, a content creator, a sharer of information. So if a consumer sees himself or herself as a brand, what then becomes the role of a brand? The
Mm.
brand then becomes a purchaser of loyalty, of franchise, of affinity. So the brand becomes a consumer.
Mm.
So in this changing equation, what are the considerations brands should have in order to win that affinity and that loyalty? So then you get to need to know the consumer you're talking to. What is their past history? What is on their subconscious? What are their emotions? What what has hurt them? What has made them love life? What has made them cry? What has made them laugh? And it's that sum total of that me that you need to be talking to. That was the whole idea of the book, where the tables are turned and the new dynamic has to be addressed.
I think it's a really, really interesting way to look at it, and I would thoroughly encourage anyone watching this to have a read of it, and to say we'll put a little note up to show where you can get this and download it from. Um, Mira, I know you've mentioned you've worked in the UK, you're based in India now. Your business is international by its very nature, which means you've had a very good view of creative, both from a world perspective, but also from India's perspective. And I think India, me personally, is a huge creative melting pot. Everything from Bollywood to the space program that you've got going on. But what would you say really differentiates Indian creative, perhaps, from the rest of the world?
Oh, that's wonderful. So we are very, very proud of the vibrant fabric of our country. So it really shows up in the work that we do. At the same time, it's a very complex market. We've got so many different states which have so many different cultures, languages, nuances. We even tie the sari differently in each of these states. So there's a way in which you have to address the same creative platform across these states. And that teaches you how to nuance your creative. When I came to the UK and I started working on brands across Europe, I found it very easy to do that, because once you worked in India, I mean, that was a piece of cake. Because here, there's so many little touches and sensitivities that you have to take care of, that you automatically start imbibing that way of thinking. And it made life very easy for me to work across Europe with this kind of a background. And of course, we are 1.4 billion people, which means we've got a ton of talent all over the place. So what we don't have is a shortage of creativity. We've been known
Mm.
for our arts, we've been known for our music, we have a very rich history. So there are so many inspirations that come out of that, and so much talent that comes out of that. And particularly women. I think women helming not just the creative, but helming the agency. I think we are right on top of the charts there. We've always been women centric.
I think it's great, and I think it's I say I've always found the dynamism of India and the creative. I mean, it's there, it's wonderful, and the point you make about almost that sort of need to have an understanding of local nuance and authenticity in what you create for a local market. I think is increasingly important as we move forward, and again to the point you made earlier about it's the market of me, and you need to talk to me in a way that I appreciate and understand. So that local authenticity comes through. Is again important. I mean, again, I guess moving on a little bit from that. I mean, you, as well as running your agency, I mean, you're known as a juror both for Cannes Lions, for the Caples, the D&AD, and many others. In your view, I mean, a lot has been said about how our industry is changing, and there's a lot in the press at the moment, with mergers of the holdcos, etc., potentially on the horizon with WPP and Accenture. But what do you think has changed the most about our industry in the last few years?
Um, First, I think after COVID, the consumer has changed.
Mm.
Consumer and the priorities of the consumer. In fact, even employers recognizing their employees and their problems with their employees. Everybody's had a sense check and a reality check at that particular moment in time. And after that, things have been very different. So COVID has played a role there. But beyond that, I think agencies used to be quite possessive over their brands and clients at one time. So much that they wouldn't even share it with other domains like PR and social media. They wouldn't even let the brand go out of.
Mm.
Today, you see them tying up with technology, which we never thought would happen. Today, agencies are merging with tech outfits, which again is a huge leap of being unthreatened and being collaborative and saying, hey, I know my part, but I do need help on other parts of the business. So I think that is a huge shift. The same thing goes for women. We used to have very few seats at the table, so we would be competitive. Now the groundswell of collaborative women is amazing. If you're in a women's group, you can get anything and everything done. I think the market has just opened up to say, collaborate and everybody wins. It's not one at the expense of the other.
Would you say that this is an area of huge opportunity going forward as well, or are there other areas that potentially would you'd like to highlight as opportunity spaces for agencies in the future?
Okay, so this is definitely a huge area. The other area is where you realize your clientele is growing younger and younger. So you've assumed, and you're talking to a generation which is the norm. Now you're talking to younger people who have a completely different way of speaking, behaving, looking at screens, and you've got to unlearn and relearn all over again. So I think the other important thing is to realize that we are still on a very early stage of a learning curve. It's not like we've understood advertising totally.
Yeah, I'd agree again. And I guess the counter to that, and I should ask, it would be remiss of me not to. I mean, where do you see the biggest areas of concern for our industry as we go forward?
Oh, one is AI for AI's sake,
Yeah.
just to do something geeky with AI and say, oh, even my brand has AI. Is it something that's relevant to the consumer? Is it something that's true to the brand? Is it following the idea, or is it making the idea wag its tail? So it's, there's a beautiful sentence that I heard at Cannes this time from the Apple seminar. You're the driver and AI rides shotgun. So it's
Good.
not the other way around. So as long as we don't let one thing overtake the other and we make everything work together, I think there's not a problem. But otherwise, there's the danger of just trying to do something geeky and getting away with it. So that would be one area of concern, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's also true. Meera, I could talk to you for hours, and indeed we have in the past, and we can bore each other stupid about things, but we are conscious of the time. I just wanted to wrap up a little bit by saying, for any of our partner agencies or indeed mission agencies watching this, what would be the space where you could help or would like to be involved, ideally?
Okay, wherever there's a problem, I want to be involved. That's one. And wherever there's an opportunity to maybe hunt together, pitch together, that would be great. And should anyone need any help or any rollout of any campaign in India or in any other geography, if it's something I can help with, I'll be definitely available.
Fantastic. We appreciate that, Meera. Meera, as ever, it's been a total pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And if anyone wants to reach out, we'll put Meera's contact details on the end slide, so you can, if you'll do check out the website, do download the book. Meera, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks as always.